everyone, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, then welcome, and if you're not, then welcome back. As you can see, I am back in my garden. I am back from New Zealand. I am halfway through my home isolation at the moment. So I'm getting all my gardening jobs done, all the weeding. I'm gonna just get everything prepped and ready to go for winter planting. Today I'm going to be talking about how to transition your garden from summer to winter. A lot of my garden is now planted in perennials, so it grows sort of all year round. And then I have a few specific gardens that I plant mainly annuals in. So those ones are plants that grow for a season or two and then you have to replant ready for the next season. So my summer annuals are ready to come out. They're pretty much all done. There's a few things left to harvest, and then I'm gonna prep the garden beds, get the soil all nice and healthy, ready for a new set of seeds and seedlings to go in. These gardens behind me here, I used to plant a lot of annuals in, but now that my fruit trees are getting bigger, I've sort of let that go and I have planted all layers of a food forest. So that is pretty much self-sufficient now. I don't really have to do much there. Even there's hardly any weeding because I have edible ground covers in, so it's really low maintenance now that it is established. I might plant a few extra plants in the gaps and give it a good water, give it a good feed with some seaweed solution, and that is pretty much it for the back garden fence, which I love. It's so easy. Once it is established and growing, you really don't have to do a lot of maintenance. But my front garden is another story. I have my driveway patch, which in summer gets full sun. It's really sheltered and it gets so hot in there, and this summer I sort of neglected it a lot, especially with being away in New Zealand. So I am going to rip out all the old dead plants and just give it some new life and get ready to plant all my winter vegetables. So there's three key things that I do every season to help transition into the next season, and that is, number one, anything left to be harvested I will pick, and then I will cut back any of the wild growth on some of the plants if they are just getting a little bit too overgrown or I want to shape them, and pull out any of the weeds, any of the plant material I'll pop in the compost. And then the second thing I do is I replenish the soil by adding another layer of compost, some extra mulch if it's needed, and give my plants a good water, and sometimes I'll even do a seaweed liquid food. So once that's done, everything is harvested, everything is cleared out that needs to be cleared out, the soil is replenished and fed, then I will get on to the exciting thing of planting new plants or seeds. The other thing that is really important with seasonal gardening is to reflect on the season that you've just been through, and take down a few notes if you noticed anything. All the success that I've had in my garden has come from observing and responding to those observations. So for example, are you getting extra shade in an area because some of the trees have grown bigger this year and now this area is extra shaded? Note that down so that next year you'll know what to plant here because it does have a lot more shade. Or it could be that you planted 5 eggplants and you decided that you really don't like eggplants, or that you only needed 1 eggplant to produce enough eggplants for your needs. So note that down so next season you'll know to only plant 1 or none. The other thing that I like to note down is when things flower and when things fruit. That way I remember it for the next season. Knowing when my plants are fruiting is really handy information, because if I want to extend my fruit season and have fruit growing in other times of the year when I don't have fruit, I need to know when those gaps are, and I can find fruit trees that are fruiting in that period, and that way I'll be able to have fruit all year round. So I have put together some seasonal gardening review sheets. These are downloadable. You can download them to your phone, fill them in on your computer or your phone, or you can print them off and fill them in that way as well. They just prompt you with a few questions that I like to know at the end of each season, and I can barely remember what I had for breakfast, let alone what I planted a year ago or when things fruited. So it's really good information, and because every year, every season is different and things are growing, things are outshading each other, things are dying. It's just different and evolving all the time. So it's really useful information to note down. So I will pop a link to those. There is one for each season, and they are just $4 for the whole set. So I'll pop the link in the description and make sure you check those out. I think it is just a game changer when it comes to leveling up your garden. It's all specific to your garden, all your notes, and it makes such a difference. Alright, so that is enough talking. It's time to get stuck in, do some weeding, do some harvesting, and get my gardens all ready to start planting my autumn and winter plants. So many chilies to harvest. These plants I overwintered last year, so this is their second year, and they have just gone off. So I want to try and keep them again, so I'm going to harvest all the chilies and prune back any of the dead parts. This one here got a little bit neglected, but it's still alive. So I will harvest off any of the chilies and take some of the pressure off the plant so that it can bounce back. I'll cut off any of these old branches too. My poor corn. Corn likes lots of water, and because I was away so much, it just didn't get enough love. Maybe next year. Okay, so this area gets pretty much all shade now. So I had a banana pup in here, and because it doesn't get enough sun, it always dies, but it always sends off more shoots. So one popped up and I have moved it out further down so that it gets more sun. So I planted in here a monstera, which was getting a little bit burnt, and it will love this shady spot, and it will hopefully be able to grow all up here and be nice and tropical and lush. My strawberry guava is not doing very well. I don't know what was wrong with it. It just started getting really sick, losing all its leaves, and I'm still not really sure what it was. It was getting enough water, and I don't know, but I have given it a big trim. I took off all the fruit because it just wasn't coping, cut off heaps of branches, given it a good feed of seaweed solution, and I'm hoping that it will bounce back. It has got a few new leaves up the top, which is promising. So it's been such an easy plant to grow, and grow so fast and produce a whole lot of fruit. So I really hope that I can keep it alive. So this mulberry is a white mulberry, and I grew it from cutting, and I have already trimmed it back once before, but it is just going off. I am going to cut it off just above the fence and then turn all those into cuttings and grow heaps more white mulberry, which hopefully I'll be able to sell, and then I can buy some new plants. If you want to learn more about growing food from cuttings, I have an ebook which has the mulberry in it, as well as a whole bunch of other plants that you can grow from cuttings, and I will pop the link to that in the description. So this is the banana pup that I moved from the shady spot down there, and it should get a little bit more sun here, so hopefully it will be okay. And I just planted this, which I was given from a friend, which is an elderflower, and as you can see, I just like chop and drop things everywhere. I try to keep what has been growing in this garden back in this garden, and always keeping the soil covered. I've got a curry plant, pineapple, and as you can see, the sweet potato is starting to creep through, which is the edible ground cover, my feijoa. So this is my plan really, is to have the fruit tree, a couple of shrubs that are either edible or have edible flowers for the pollinators, so that the pollinators can come and pollinate all my fruit, and then the ground covers, so more edible flowers for the pollinators, and either strawberries, sweet potato, or some other edible ground covers or low shrubs in between. Lettuce, so this is a in-between plant of my fruit trees, and sort of like a middle layer. It is a root crop, which is the arrowroot. So I want to get a few more of these growing in between because they look really nice and lush and fill in the gaps between the fruit trees. So this corner is pretty much how I want the whole fence to be. The fruit trees, some middle layer ones in between, and then a ground cover. And it stops all the weeds, it's all edible, and all works really well together to grow more food. And by growing this way, it's super low maintenance. I don't have to hardly do anything. I mean, I've been away for a month and it is still all looking good and self-sufficient. It just grows, does its thing, and I eat the food. And because I have been growing some annuals in these garden beds while the fruit trees have been growing, every summer, every spring, those seeds pop up because I let them go to seed. And so I know every spring I get lettuces, I get cornflowers, I get sunflowers all popping up when I haven't actually planted them. So that is also amazing. So that is it from me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you are getting stuck into your autumn and winter gardens, or if you're on the other side of the world, you've got spring and summer ahead of you. And make sure you subscribe, because next up I have got to take those mulberry cuttings, plant my seeds, my autumn and winter seeds, and also turn all of those chilies into something delicious. So make sure you hit subscribe so you can see those coming up soon.